It's over, and I'm not saying this as someone who exaggerates just to grab attention. I'm saying it because something truly has come to an end. Maybe you haven't realized it yet, but this change is affecting you right now, in this very moment. That's what we're going to talk about today, what the closing of this cycle really means, and why it is silently awakening all those who carry the calling of the chosen. I know, it may seem like just another ordinary day, but pay attention. When certain doors close in the invisible, the impact spreads into our lives without asking permission. You'll realize that you felt this shift even before you pressed play on this video. Maybe it was that sudden tightness in your chest without reason. Maybe it was a strange silence in the air, even when there was noise around you. Or maybe it was that unsettling feeling of being out of place, as if tomorrow or later. We're talking about something that has already begun, and it will define how you cross through the coming days, or even the coming years. Imagine walking down a familiar street, but suddenly you notice the signs have changed. The doors are no longer where they used to be. It feels confusing, it feels unsettling. And that's exactly what happens when an invisible cycle closes in the spiritual realm. The map you once used to navigate no longer works. The question is, will you insist on following the old map, or will you learn how to read the new signs? And before we continue, if this message is already resonating with you, if something deep inside is saying, I needed to hear this, then like this video now and subscribe. Leave a comment telling me what you've been feeling in these last few days. This isn't just a gesture to help the channel. It's also your way of confirming that you are awake to what is happening. In the early hours of yesterday, the sky changed. It wasn't just a planet shifting in its orbit. It wasn't a constellation shining a little brighter. It was something deeper, almost secret. One of those moments that never make it into the news, but if you pay attention, you feel it in your bones. Imagine a massive, invisible mechanism that has been turning for centuries, keeping everything in a certain rhythm, and suddenly, that mechanism stops. There's no explosion, no flashing lights, but those who are awake notice it. It's as if a different kind of silence had fallen over the world. A silence that isn't the never make it into the news, but if you pay attention, you feel it in your bones. Imagine a massive, invisible mechanism that has been turning for centuries, keeping everything in a certain rhythm, and suddenly, that mechanism stops. There's no explosion, no flashing lights, but those who are awake notice it. It's as if a different kind of silence had fallen over the world. A silence that isn't the... And then, last night, something moved in the heavens and closed that chapter. For those who carry the calling of the chosen, this transition is almost physical. The body feels it, the mind feels it, the spirit awakens. That's why since then, you may have noticed an unusual restlessness, sudden insomnia, or even strange and vivid dreams. This is not ordinary anxiety. It's not random. It is your energy field trying to align with the new frequency that has begun to pulse over us. And this frequency is not for everyone. Many will pass through it without even noticing, living as if nothing has happened. But you felt it. And that is why you are here, listening to these words. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. You are here for a reason. And no, that's not just a nice phrase. It's a fact. Out of all the things you could be doing right now, out of the millions of pieces of content you could have come across, it's this video that stands before you. That is not chance, it is a calling. Maybe you've already felt that there is something in you that doesn't fit the usual patterns. A deeper sensitivity, a sense of urgency no one else seems to carry, or even that constant feeling of waiting for something without knowing exactly what it is. That's not a flaw. It's not exaggeration. It's not imagination. It is what sets the chosen apart. When cycles like the one that just closed come to an end, it's as if the spiritual world sends signals, and you notice these signs sometimes in a dream that keeps returning. sometimes in a phrase someone says without intention, but that carries a weight only you can understand. Other times, it is simply a silent certainty in the heart. Something is changing, and I need to be ready. The truth is, you are not here just to be another spectator. You are here because the new phase that begins now demands that those who carry this calling be awake, attentive, and fully aware. It's not about fame. It's not about applause. It's about fulfilling the role for which you were prepared, even if you don't fully understand how. So, if while listening to me you feel that these words are not just information, but almost like ancient memories being reactivated within you, know this: it is because the message was sent for you. And maybe, just maybe, this is the confirmation you've been waiting for a very long time. There is something I haven't told you yet. And it's not because I want to withhold information, but because you need to understand each part before we get there. What happened in the heavens was not only the end of a cycle, it was also the beginning of a movement that will unfold little by little, like the pieces of a puzzle that cannot be placed out of order. In the coming days, certain signs will start to appear. For most people, they will pass unnoticed, small coincidences, situations that seem normal. But for you, each of them will sound like a doorbell ringing that no one else can hear. It could be a number that insists on appearing, an unlikely encounter, or even a silence so deep that it speaks louder than any word. I cannot reveal everything to you now, because part of this journey is for you to learn how to recognize it on your own. But I can tell you this: when the first sign appears, you will feel a mix of certainty and discomfort. Certainty because you will immediately recognize it as part of what I'm telling you. Discomfort because understanding the calling also means accepting that there is no turning back. And when that moment comes, remember these words: the old cycle is dead, but the new one requires you to be fully awake. It's like crossing a bridge that disappears behind you with every step. There is no return, only forward. And this is exactly where many hesitate. But not you. You are here for a reason, and that reason will soon be revealed. Ignoring this calling is like covering your ears while someone shouts your name in the middle of a crowd. You can pretend. You can pretend you didn't hear it. You can distract yourself with other voices, but deep down your soul knows it heard. And what happens when you refuse to answer? Doors begin to close. The flow of opportunities slows down. Life starts sending stronger and sometimes harsher signals until you have no choice but to stop and pay attention. For the chosen, the price of ignoring is not just missing a chance. It is missing an alignment, and when an alignment is broken, it takes time for it to return. You've probably felt this at some point, that moment that seemed almost perfect, but slipped away over the smallest detail. That's what happens when we resist the calling. But when you decide to answer, everything begins to move. The right people appear out of nowhere. Opportunities present themselves without you needing to chase them. The signs become clearer, as if the spiritual world were saying, "Now you understand. Now we can work together." And that's the moment when the weight of doubts begins to transform into such an intense sense of purpose that it even steals your sleep. But this time not from restlessness, from excitement. We are exactly at that moment. The old has been undone, and the new is asking to enter. The question is, will you allow it in? Or will you wait until it forces the door open? Have you noticed how suddenly everything feels more intense? Emotions rise to the surface. Nights turn into sleepless days. And that strange feeling that something is about to happen just won't leave your mind. Maybe you felt more tired, yet at the same time restless, as if your body were trying to say something your mind doesn't yet understand. Or maybe you've noticed changes in your relationships, conversations that once flowed easily now feel heavy, or people close to you acting differently. as if they were going through something you can't quite identify. None of this is coincidence. It is the invisible world manifesting in your daily life, a kind of adjustment that happens when the chosen begin to awaken to the new phase that has just begun. You are not alone in this, even if at times it feels like you are. That is exactly why you need to understand what is happening, so that instead of getting lost in these confusing sensations, you can navigate through them with clarity, knowing that you are part of something far greater than you can imagine. Now that you know you are not alone, and that these feelings are part of a greater process, let's talk about the signs, those small details that most people overlook. Perhaps you've noticed that your dreams have become more vivid, almost as if they were coded messages sent to your mind while you sleep. These dreams may seem confusing or even unsettling, but they carry profound meanings that gradually reveal themselves as you begin to pay attention. It's as though your subconscious were trying to guide you, using symbols that only you can decode. Another common sign is the feeling of being disconnected from everything around you, as if the world were moving too fast while you stood still, trying to catch up. This feeling can be accompanied by an unexplainable fatigue, not only physical, but spiritual. That sense that something inside you is shifting, breaking free from the old to make room for the new. Maybe you've also begun to feel an inner urgency, an almost irresistible desire to search for answers, to dive deeper into knowledge that once felt distant or even strange. Books, videos, conversations, or even specific people may have started appearing in your life, as though the universe were sending the right elements to help you on this journey. And it doesn't stop there. At times it may feel like your emotions are out of control. You cry without an apparent reason. You feel anger or fear you cannot explain, or you carry a constant sense of restlessness. All of this is part of the alignment process, where old layers of fear, doubt, and blockage begin to be released. The most important thing to understand is that these signs are not an indication that something is wrong with you. On the contrary, they show that you are awakening, that your energetic field is shifting, and that you are stepping into a new level of consciousness. It's an invitation to allow yourself to feel, to observe, and above all, to trust the process, even if it feels confusing and challenging at first. And if you're asking yourself, but how do I know these signs are real? How can I people or even habits you once considered normal, as if a part of you were saying, this no longer serves me, even when the mind tries to justify it with rational explanations? Or perhaps you've noticed that certain conversations are becoming deeper, more intense. They are no longer. You may have noticed that your desires have shifted. What once seemed natural or comfortable no longer fulfills you. Now, the longing is for a deeper connection, for conversations that stir something inside your soul. Perhaps you've even surprised yourself by speaking about spiritual or existential topics, or by sharing the inner calling you feel, only to realize that few people around you truly understand or are open to it. You may also have noticed physical changes, unexplainable aches, sudden chills, or waves of heat, heart palpitations, or a tingling sensation that appears out of nowhere. These are not random symptoms. They are physical manifestations of the energetic transformations your body is undergoing, as if it were preparing itself to receive a new vibration. You may have noticed that your desires have shifted. What once seemed natural or comfortable no longer fulfills you. Now, the longing is for a deeper connection, for conversations that stir something inside your soul. Perhaps you've even surprised yourself by speaking about spiritual or existential topics, or by sharing the inner calling you feel, only to realize that few people around you truly understand or are open to it. You may also have noticed physical changes, unexplainable aches, sudden chills, or waves of heat, heart palpitations, or a tingling sensation that appears out of nowhere. These are not random symptoms. They are physical manifestations of the energetic transformations your body is undergoing, as if it were preparing itself to receive a new vibration. There is also the strange sensation